Thy name is my healing, O my God. And remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope. And love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and in the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. O God, my God, I beg of thee, by the ocean of thy healing, and by the splendors of the day star of thy grace, and by thy name, through which thou didst subdue thy servants, and by the pervasive power of thy most exalted word, and the potency of thy most august pen, and by thy mercy that hath preceded the creation of all who are in heaven and on earth, to purge me with the waters of thy bounty from every affliction and disorder, and from all weakness and feebleness. Thou seest, O my Lord, thy suppliant, waiting at the door of thy bounty. In him who hath set his hopes on thee, clinging to the cord of thy generosity. Deny him not, I beseech thee, the things he seeketh from the ocean of thy grace and the day star of thy loving kindness. Powerful art thou to do what pleaseth thee. There is none other God save thee, the ever forgiving, the most generous. Glory be to thee, O Lord my God. I implore thee by thy name, through which thou didst lift up the ensigns of thy guidance, and didst shed the radiance of thy loving kindness, and didst reveal the sovereignty of thy lordship, through which the lamp of thy names hath appeared within the niche of thine attributes, and he who is the tabernacle of thy unity and the manifestation of detachment hath shone forth, through which the ways of thy guidance were made known, and the paths of thy good pleasure were marked out. through which the foundations of error have been made to tremble, and the signs of wickedness have been abolished, through which the fountains of wisdom have burst forth, and the heavenly table hath been sent down, through which thou didst preserve thy servants, and didst vouchsafe thy healing, through which thou didst show forth thy tender mercies unto thy servants, and revealest thy forgiveness amidst thy creatures. I implore thee to keep safe him who hath held fast and returned unto thee, and clung to thy mercy, and seized the hem of thy loving providence. Send down then upon him thy healing, and make him whole, and endue him with a constancy vouchsafed by thee, and a tranquility bestowed by thy highness. Thou art verily the healer, the preserver, the helper, the almighty, the powerful, the all-glorious, the all-knowing. Praised be thou, O Lord my God. I implore thee by thy most great name. Through which thou didst stir up thy servants and build up thy cities, and by thy most excellent titles and thy most august attributes, to assist thy people to turn in the direction of thy manifold bounties, and set their faces towards the tabernacle of thy wisdom. Heal thou the sicknesses that have assailed the souls on every side, and have deterred them from directing their gaze towards the paradise that lieth in the shelter of thy shadowing name, which thou didst ordain to be the King of all names, unto all who are in heaven and all who are on earth. Potent art thou to do as pleaseth thee. In thy hands is the empire of all names. There is none other God but thee, the mighty, the wise. I am but a poor creature, O my Lord. I have clung to the hem of thy riches. I am sore sick. I have held fast the cord of thy healing. Deliver me from the ills that have encircled me, and wash me thoroughly with the waters of thy graciousness and mercy, and attire me with the raiment of wholesomeness, through thy forgiveness and bounty. Fix then mine eyes upon thee, and rid me of all attachment to aught else except thyself. Aid me to do what thou desirest and to fulfill what thou pleasest. Thou art truly the Lord of this life and of the next. Thou art in truth the ever forgiving, the most merciful. Glory be to thee, O Lord my God. I beg of thee by thy name, through which he who is thy beauty hath been stablished upon the throne of thy cause, and by thy name through which thou changest all things and gatherest together all things, and callest to account all things, and rewardest all things, and preservest all things, and sustainest all things. I beg of thee to guard this handmaiden, who hath fled for refuge to thee, and hath sought the shelter of him in whom thou thyself art manifest, and hath put her whole trust and confidence in thee. She is sick, O my God, and hath entered beneath the shadow of the tree of thy healing. Afflicted, and hath fled to the city of thy protection. Diseased, and hath sought the fountainhead of thy favors, sorely vexed, and hath hasted to attain the wellspring of thy tranquility. Burdened with sin, and hath set her face toward the court of thy forgiveness. Attire her by thy sovereignty and thy loving kindness, O my God and my beloved, with the raiment of thy balm and thy healing, and make her quaff of the cup of thy mercy and thy favors. Protect her, moreover, from every affliction and ailment, from all pain and sickness, and from whatsoever may be abhorrent unto thee. Thou in truth art immensely exalted above all else, except thyself. Thou art verily the healer, the all-sufficing, the preserver, the ever-forgiving, the most merciful. Praise be unto thee, O my God. I am one of thy servants who hath believed on thee and on thy signs. Thou seest how I have set myself towards the door of thy mercy and turned my face in the direction of thy loving kindness. I beseech thee by thy most excellent titles and thy most exalted attributes to open to my face the portals of thy bestowals. Aid me then to do that which is good. O thou who art the possessor of all names and attributes. I am poor, O my Lord, and thou art the rich. I have set my face towards thee and detached myself from all but thee. Deprive me not, I implore thee, of the breezes of thy tender mercy, and withhold not from me what thou didst ordain for the chosen among thy servants. Remove the veil from my eyes, O my Lord, that I may recognize what thou hast desired for thy creatures, and discover in all the manifestations of thy handiwork the revelations of thine almighty power. Enrapture my soul, O my Lord, with thy most mighty signs, and draw me out of the depths of my corrupt and evil desires. Write down then for me the good of this world and of the world to come. Potent art thou to do what pleaseth thee. No God is there but thee, the all-glorious, whose help is sought by all men. I yield thee thanks, O my Lord, that thou hast wakened me from my sleep, and stirred me up, and created in me the desire to perceive what most of thy servants have failed to apprehend. Make me able, therefore, O my Lord, to behold for love of thee, and for the sake of thy pleasure, whatsoever thou hast desired. Thou art he to the power of whose might and sovereignty all things testify. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the Beneficent. Welcome. I'm going to read from the hidden words of Bahá'u'lláh. I'm starting with number 70 from the Persian. O son of worldliness, pleasant is the realm of being, wert thou to attain thereto. Glorious is the domain of eternity, shouldst thou pass beyond the world of mortality. Sweet is the holy ecstasy, if thou drinkest of the mystic chalice from the hands of the celestial youth. Shouldst thou attain this station, thou wouldst be freed from destruction and death, from toil and sin. Before I go on with the hidden words, I'm going to read more prayers. In the name of thy Lord, the Creator, the Sovereign, the all-sufficing, the most exalted, he whose help is implored by all men. Say, O my God, O thou who art the maker of the heavens and of the earth, O Lord of the kingdom, thou well knowest the secrets of my heart, while thy being is inscrutable to all save thyself. Thou seest whatsoever is of me, while no one else can do this save thee. Vouchsafe unto me through thy grace what will enable me to dispense with all except thee, and destine for me that which will make me independent of everyone else besides thee. Grant that I may reap the benefit of my life in this world and in the next. Open to my face the portals of thy grace, and graciously confer upon me thy tender mercy and bestowals. O thou who art the Lord of grace abounding, let thy celestial aid surround those who love thee, and bestow upon us the gifts and the bounties thou dost possess. Be thou sufficient unto us of all things, forgive our sins, and have mercy upon us. Thou art our Lord, and the Lord of all created things. No one else do we invoke but thee, and naught do we beseech but thy favors. Thou art the Lord of bounty and grace, invincible in thy power, and the most skillful in thy designs. No God is there but thee, the all-possessing, the most exalted. Confer thy blessings, O my Lord, upon the messengers, the holy ones, and the righteous. Verily thou art God, the peerless, the all-compelling. That's by the Bab. O Lord, unto thee I repair for refuge, and toward all thy signs I set my heart. O Lord, whether traveling or at home, and in my occupation or in my work, I place my whole trust in thee. Grant me then thy sufficing help, so as to make me independent of all things, O thou who art unsurpassed in thy mercy. Bestow upon me my portion, O Lord, as thou pleasest, and cause me to be satisfied with whatsoever thou hast ordained for me. Thine is the absolute authority to command. That's also by the Bab. And here's another one. Say, God sufficeth all things, above all things, and nothing in the heavens or in the earth but God sufficeth. Verily, he is in himself the knower, the sustainer, the omnipotent. And here's a prayer for parents by the Bab. I beg thy forgiveness, O my God, and implore pardon, after the manner thou wishest thy servants to direct themselves to thee. I beg of thee to wash away our sins, as befitteth thy lordship, and to forgive me, my parents, and those who in thine estimation have entered the abode of thy love in a manner which is worthy of thy transcendent sovereignty, and well beseemeth the glory of thy celestial power. O my God, thou hast inspired my soul to offer its supplication to thee, and but for thee I would not call upon thee. Lauded and glorified art thou. I yield thee praise, inasmuch as thou didst reveal thyself unto me, and I beg thee to forgive me, since I have fallen short in my duty to know thee, and have failed to walk in the path of thy love. Okay, I'm going back now to the hidden words of Baha'u'lláh. This is number 72 of the Persian. O my friends, call ye to mind that covenant ye have entered into with me upon Mount Paran, situate within the hallowed precincts of Zaman. I have taken to witness the concourse on high, and the dwellers in the city of eternity. Yet now none do I find faithful unto the covenant. Of a certainty, pride and rebellion have effaced it from the hearts, in such wise that no trace thereof remaineth. Yet knowing this, I waited, and disclosed it not. O my servant, thou art even as a finely tempered sword, concealed in the darkness of its sheath, and its value hidden from the artificer's knowledge. Wherefore, come forth from the sheath of self and desire, that thy worth may be made resplendent and manifest unto all the world. Number 74. O my friend, thou art the day star of the heavens of my holiness. Let not the defilement of the world eclipse thy splendor. Rend asunder the veil of heedlessness, that from behind the clouds thou mayest emerge resplendent, and array all things with the apparel of life. I'm going to read that one again. O my friend, thou art the day star of the heavens of my holiness. Let not the defilement of the world eclipse thy splendor. Rend asunder the veil of heedlessness, that from behind the clouds thou mayest emerge resplendent, and array all things with the apparel of life. Okay, I'm going to continue reading Baha'u'llah's letter to the Shah of Persia, Nasruddin Shah, in the 1860s. And this letter is in more than one place in Baha'u'llah's writings, I believe. And I'm reading from the Suriy-i-Haykal, which is the Suri of the temple. And that is the first tablet in the compilation of tablets by Baha'u'llah called the Summons of the Lord of Hosts. So I'm going to continue my reading of this letter. And I'll be stopping to make comments. This is page 108. After the arrival of this servant in this, the city of Adrianople, some of the people of Iraq and elsewhere inquired about the meaning of the term rendering assistance unto God, which hath been mentioned in the Holy Scriptures. Several answers were sent out in reply, one of which is set forth in these pages, that it may be clearly demonstrated in the court of thy presence that this servant hath had no end in view but to promote the betterment and well-being of the world. And if certain of the divine favors, which, undeserving as I may be, God hath pleased to bestow upon me, be not plain and manifest, this much at least will be clear and apparent, that he, in his surpassing mercy and infinite grace, hath not deprived mine heart of the ornament of reason. The passage that was referred to concerning the meaning of, quote, rendering assistance unto God, unquote, is as follows. He is God. Exalted be his glory. It is clear and evident that the one true God, glorified be his mention, is sanctified above the world and all that is therein. By rendering assistance unto God, then, is not meant that any soul should fight or contend with another. That sovereign Lord who doeth whatsoever he pleaseth hath entrusted the kingdom of creation, its lands and its seas, into the hands of the kings. For they are, each according to his degree, the manifestations of his divine power. Should they enter beneath the shadow of the true one, they will be accounted of God. And if not, thy Lord verily knoweth and observeth all things. That which God, glorified be his name, hath desired for himself is the hearts of his servants, which are the treasuries of his love and remembrance, and the repositories of his knowledge and wisdom. It hath ever been the wish of the eternal King to cleanse the hearts of his servants from the things of the world and all that pertaineth thereunto, that they may be made worthy recipients of the effulgent splendors of him who is the King of all names and attributes. Wherefore must no stranger be allowed in the city of the heart, that the incomparable friend may enter his abode. By this is meant the effulgence of his names and attributes, and not his exalted essence, inasmuch as that peerless King hath ever been and shall eternally remain sanctified above ascent and descent. So let's talk about this for a second. And by the way, if anybody has any comments or questions, just type them into your computer. I will see them, and we can talk about it. And if anybody wants to come online with me and interact, type that into your computer as well, and I'll bring you online. So this paragraph here, he's saying that all that God wants is that our hearts belong to him. And when he says no stranger be allowed in the city of the heart, nothing that is ungodly, nothing that is negative or mean-spirited or angry or bitter or resentful, or attached to things other than God. And then he says that the heart may be worthy recipients of the effulgent splendors of him who is the King of all names and attributes. He says that the incomparable friend may enter his abode. So he's saying it's not that God himself is going to come in your heart, but that the beauty of the attributes of God and the names of God, which are the manifestations, the teachings of the manifestations, those teachings and those attributes that we're striving to embody is going to shine in our hearts. And then he goes on to say, it followeth therefore that rendering assistance unto God in this day doth not and shall never consist in contending or disputing with any soul. Nay, rather what is preferable in the sight of God is that the cities of men's hearts, which are ruled by the hosts of self and passion, should be subdued by the sword of utterance, of wisdom, and of understanding. So he's saying, if you want to help God, if you want to help the cause of God, don't argue and fight with people. But when you see self and passion ruling your heart or other people's hearts, subdue it with speech which is informed by wisdom and understanding. Understand the people and be kind to them. Be understanding and speak to them with wisdom. And that will help subdue that passion in their hearts and the selfishness in their hearts. Thus, whoso seeketh to assist God must before all else conquer with the sword of inner meaning and explanation the city of his own heart, and guard it from the remembrance of all save God, and only then set out to subdue the cities of the hearts of others. I'm going to read that again. That is a most amazing sentence. Thus, whoso seeketh to assist God must before all else conquer with the sword of inner meaning and explanation the city of his own heart. So what does this mean with the sword of inner meaning and explanation? I'm going to guess here that one of the things it might mean is when I read the holy writings, sometimes something just jumps out at me like it's talking to me personally. Like it's not just talking about the outer meaning of what he's writing. It's talking to me personally. I'm sure that that's part of what he means by the sort of inner meaning. Read these writings. Read them slowly. Meditate on them. Even if you just read one paragraph or even 2 sentences, read them slowly and let the meaning penetrate your heart so that you can understand yourself and what motivates you and your own ulterior motives and your own negative feelings, so that those things can the light of God can shine on those things, so that with the help of God you can transform them. This is what I do anyway. I spend an awful lot of time looking at my own faults. But I don't despair, because I figure if God is allowing me to see these things, then he's going to help me overcome it. And so I can look at whatever needs to be looked at. And guard it. And then after you've been going through this process of looking at your own heart and weeding out the negativity in your own heart, then you can try to help others to do the same thing. Such is the true meaning of rendering assistance unto God. Sedition, which is undermining authority, hath never been pleasing unto God, nor were the acts committed in the past by certain foolish ones acceptable in his sight. So he could be referring to things that happened during, after the Bab was executed, when certain foolish souls who were so upset at the persecution of the Babis did violent acts that caused terrible, terrible suffering to descend upon the body of the Bab's believers, where 20,000 were martyred and tortured to death. And he's saying, this is not the way of God. This has never been the way of God. The fact that some foolish ones did these things does not represent the teachings of God. He says, know ye that to be killed in the path of his good pleasure is better for you than to kill. And notice that he's saying to be killed in the path of his good pleasure. I think he's referring to not fighting over religion. The beloved of the Lord must in this day behave in such wise amidst his servants that they may by their very deeds and actions guide all men unto the paradise of the all-glorious. And then he goes on to say, by him who shineth above the dayspring of sanctity. The friends of God have not, nor will they ever, set their hopes upon the world and its ephemeral possessions. That's a hard one for us. But let me go on. The one true God hath ever regarded the hearts of men as his own, his exclusive possession, and this too, but an expression of his all-surpassing mercy, that haply mortal souls may be purged and sanctified from all that pertaineth to the world of dust, and gain admittance into the realms of eternity. For otherwise, that ideal king is in himself and by himself sufficient unto himself and independent of all things. Neither doth the love of his creatures profit him, nor can their malice harm him. All have issued forth from the abodes of dust, and unto dust shall they return, while the one true God, alone and single, is established upon his throne. A throne which is beyond the reaches of time and space, is sanctified above all utterance or expression, intimation, description, and definition, and exalted beyond all notion of abasement and glory. And none knoweth this save him, and those with whom is the knowledge of the book. No God is there but him, the Almighty, the All-Bountiful. So he says, the friends of God have not, nor will they ever, set their hopes upon the world and its ephemeral possessions. It's a big job that we have, that we're asked to do, to detach ourselves from the world. It's about faith. And the more we obey, the more we see the wisdom that he has something better for us. We grasp at the things that we think will make us happy. But if we can let go, God will give us better things. So, this is the end of today's readings and commentary. Again, if anybody has any questions or comments, let me know now or later. My prayer for us today is that we overcome our own negativity that's in our hearts, our own reactivity, bitterness, resentment, jealousy. That we rise above our judgments of each other. That we extend to each other a hand of love and friendship. That we try to understand each other and be kind. I wish you all a blessed day, and I'm going to say the Baha'i greeting, which means God is most glorious. Aloha.